In your freedoms, I do. Bree, you got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know.
Are Republicans finally changing their tune on vaccinations, or is it just the Republican elite? Former President Donald Trump was booed at a rally Saturday in Alabama after he told supporters they should get vaccinated. Does this signal the eroding of support for the former president among his intensely loyal base? More importantly, is there a chance to reverse the course of the anti-vax movement, or is it doomed to continue leaderless into eternity? The answer lies in research into how professionals have previously dealt with members of new religious movements, also known as cults. Alabama has the lowest vaccination rate in the US, with just more than 36% of the population having been fully inoculated, according to an NBC tracker. Interestingly, the same town where Trump got booed once had severe punishment for anyone who flouted smallpox vaccination and quarantine guidelines. The monster of vaccine skepticism that Trump created might be suddenly beyond his control. Diving into the online world of the alt-right is always scary, and it's not hard to notice the growing erosion for him amongst his base. While most are still supporters, the vaccine issue seems to be a rare case of loyalists not being able to reconcile with their leader. I'm Caroline Johnson. Let's dive in. This is a remarkable shift, as the former president has done and said countless objectively absurd statements and done ridiculous things that are unforgivable and downright stupid during the coronavirus pandemic.
Almost a cleaning, because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs, so it'd be interesting to check that.
So this change signals just how intense and frankly scary the anti-vaccination movement has become. A Kaiser Family Foundation vaccination tracking poll released this month found that Republicans were the second least likely demographic group to be vaccinated. 40% say that they never will or will do so only if it's required, or that they're still in wait-and-see mode. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, former press secretary now running for governor of Arkansas, is similarly championing vaccines, which will set an interesting stage in what might be a further split between the leaders of the Republican Party and their base. A popular right-wing media figure, Anomaly, has apparently been on this path for weeks, now taking credit for sensing all along that Trump would go further and further down his road of, quote, vaccine salesman. So how can we continue to combat this misinformation? Is there a chance, or should we all just give up on anti-vaxxers? In a fascinating recent study published in the medical journal The Lancet, Rochelle Burgess researched the underlying similarities between the anti-vax movement and new religious movements, or cults. The study takes a compassionate and holistic view to this issue, which I appreciate immensely, as the goal is not to further marginalize these people, as we on the left and the media tend to do, but to save people's lives. And we can only do that when we understand the root causes of opposition to vaccines, which, as the study is sure to note, is very different from vaccine hesitancy. Burgess and her colleagues draw attention to how, quote, people who might have suffered disproportionate economic and health consequences from COVID-19 are now being asked to trust the same structures that failed to provide adequate resources and social protection during the pandemic. The study goes on to say that the anti-vax movement involves a whole spectrum of ideas. The study concludes that we must, quote, focus on the essential need to understand the beliefs that are involved to avoid further marginalization. We suggest a more inclusive approach where the same inquisitive dialogue and contextual understanding that was suggested for vaccine hesitancy should be extended to members of the anti-vax movement. I know, this sounds like an absolute waste of time and brain cells, but many cults and cult members have been successfully deprogrammed in the past, not with rage and anger, but calm, passionate defense of the facts and the realities of the world we're living in. With people who refuse the vaccine taking up hospital beds, it's our only shot at true healing, not only for those anti-vaxxers, but the vaccinated as well. That and continuing to push the facts. This tweet underscores the hypocrisy of many anti-vaxxers, but does so in a way that's clear, concise, and I'd say empathy-driven. It's this type of rhetoric we should all be pushing today, tomorrow, and the next day. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.